31 countries, 36 languages, 2,870 manually migrated web pages, 10 content managers, 6 months. That's what an average project looks like from a content management standpoint. How do we achieve these numbers? Let's find out. My name is Victor Sorescu, and I am a digital content specialist.
And my name is Daniela Androne, also a digital content specialist. And today we aim to take you along for the ride. We will analyze our mindset and show how adaptability, an emphasis on soft skills, and the firm grasp of the tools of our trade lead to successful turnarounds. But let's look first at deciphering expectations in content management projects. Multi-site management, asset management, experience fragments, product management and configuration, translation workflows, content testing and QA, bug reporting, monitoring and fixing when possible, documentation, trainings and follow-ups for new joiners, clients, or stakeholders, customer support and consultancy, if possible, post-go-live maintenance. Does this sound familiar to you, Victor?
It really does.
Well, these are some of the greatest expectations our clients can have. And of course, we have the knowledge, the skills, and the tools for meeting most of them. But what we can do when we realize that some of them might be harder or sometimes just impossible to achieve? What can we prioritize first? What can be included on the nice to have list, let's say? How should we address these sensitive topics to the client and avoid an eventual disappointment?
Well, let's direct our attention for a moment towards the content manager's role in a project. Our role is usually to handle all the customers' needs with regard to their digital content. This entails migrating their pages manually, managing and maintaining their workflows or their digital asset management portal. And as we usually have a hand in the creation of the manual migration workflows, we do have documentation duties to ensure that everything is properly recorded in the customer's wiki. On top of this, we also run checks to ensure the functionality of the content before finally setting the pages live. Of course, the work doesn't stop once the site is up and running. We do post-go live checks as well in order to ensure that our content is correctly displayed. There are two main aspects that we look at when starting off on a project. Of course, most would assume that the technical aspect of working with AEM would be the most important. Actually, a large amount of time spent on a project is discussing, analyzing, and coming up with the best solution to implement the customer's vision from a content standpoint. And this is done by managing customers' expectations. Most of the time, customers come to us with a vision, a plan bold and innovative enough that it will leave the competition in the dust. This is all well and good until it comes to actually implementing this vision onto a website. Time constraints, budgeting issues, and overall scope need to be aligned in order for the customers to get a result as close to their vision as possible. And I say as close as possible, as it's rarely the case of something being brought into reality as it was on paper. Being truthful with the customer from the start and pointing out that their migration will take a bit more time than they envisioned, or that their pages will look somewhat different due to the way AM components are structured are the best ways to set the stage for the work ahead. This style of communication comes with a caveat, however. At Netcentric, we are not in the business of saying no to our customers. We are, however, in the business of offering our customers the best possible solutions in the best possible way and the shortest amount of time. So to ensure that we have all the facts when engaging with the customer, we usually leverage what we like to call the dry run. Basically, we take the page that would be most common, like say the home page, especially if we are tackling a multi-language site, and try to reproduce it in AEM while taking note of any challenges we encounter and the time it takes to migrate or create the page. These takeaways are twofold. We can offer the customer a rough estimate of how much time it would take to finish up the pages and also let them know how much of their vision can be achieved at that moment. From there on, it's just a matter of working together with them to achieve the desired results. And with that said, I will let Daniela take us through the challenges we usually face, starting with communication.
As Victor just mentioned, communication is an important key factor that should always be integrated in a content manager's resume. And the lack of it, ineffective or miscommunication can represent a tremendous challenge in our daily work. I am pretty sure that being present and focused, applying active listening, having a well-structured message, being clear and concise, adapting the message to your audience, communicating with empathy, respect, and a positive attitude in both verbal and written communication are no flash news to any of you. However, and I think many of you will agree here with me, we're still facing communication as one of the most common challenges of all time. In my work experience so far, I've noticed that people are either afraid of being completely honest with each other. They're becoming too optimistic or maybe too pessimistic when planning and estimations are concerned, for example. They might gather frustrations along the way or letting personal feelings interfere and affect their message in their daily work conversations. And unfortunately, sometimes that can come with a cost. Blockers might appear from time to time, such as double or triple work even, too many back and forth discussions over certain topics, too much effort spent on meeting the unrealistic timelines, and eventually an overall lack of drive and motivation among the team members. And if this is not raising awareness and it's not corrected at some point, sooner rather than later, in time it will affect the whole team or project, the customer team synergy, and eventually it can lead to an unsuccessful collaboration of the parts involved. On the opposite side, over communicating can also be a disturbing factor I've noticed on some of the projects I've been involved in. This can manifest in either sharing too much information that is often hard to assimilate, Slack interruptions, or ignoring our Slack etiquette, having too many quick alignments, if you know what I mean, being invited in unnecessary meetings or setting meetings that are too long and can result as unproductive and exhausting. This type of behavior can have such an overwhelming effect that will disrupt anybody's work landscape, despite any GTD or time management high skills a person could have. Another challenge is keeping up with the timeline changes. Timelines, planning, or even deadlines can sometimes encounter a variety of obstacles while working on a project. Sometimes that can be caused by unrealistic expectations. Some other times requirements are not entirely met from the client side. They might be changed or new ones might come up, and that can cause blockers, delays, double work, or back and forth editing. Database issues, tool downtime, discrepancies between author and publisher environments, for example, defect analysis, feedback delay from client and stakeholders, cross-team dependencies, and communication issues are other factors that can interfere and change the timeline course. So we always need to anticipate and prepare for worst-case scenarios. Embrace this type of situations, adapt, and reset. This also goes for requirement gaps, which Victor is going to cover for us next.
Yes, well, requirement gaps are somewhat of a sensitive subject. Apart from the case where the customer changes their mind regarding requirements due to poor communication, or we also see a lot of what we call rolling edits and discussions. This means that the requirements keep changing because the customer amends them constantly during the course of a project. These changes happening along the way are not a symptom of an undecided or ill-informed customer, but the result of refining the details of an already agreed upon plan. These changes are natural as work goes on, and our position as content managers in these situations is to keep up with the tide of changes that usually comes out of this process. And speaking of changing situations and environments, I would also like to make a point about the challenges we face within the industry as a whole, not just from our customers or in our specific projects. Similar to a storm coming on the horizon. In the past few years, a lot of technology has emerged that may make our role as content managers at some point obsolete. Thankfully, and you'll see in a moment why, that time is not very soon. Enter Adobe Sensei. If any of you are unfamiliar with this tool, it was launched in 2016. And as for what it actually does, its description reads, and I quote, Adobe Sensei uses AI and machine learning to make it easier, helping you create effortlessly, make informed decisions, and target marketing for better results. Now, just from that quote, anyone can understand that Adobe Sensei is an extraordinary tool. And looking over the website as well will give you a glimpse into a wonderful solution that does most of the work for you, from helping with creative materials to changing the content on a website, tailoring it to the customer experience, even offering insights into the data it collects from said customers. Of course, I may be overselling Sensei's capability a bit, but then again, I got into this work because I've always been excited to have the best tools I could get my hands on. Now, the second example is OpenAI's GPT-3, also known as Generative Pre-trained Transformer 3. Wonderful name. Apart from the very technical wording, GPT-3 seems to be yet another AI-based tool that produces text, such as articles, descriptions, and so on, based on the input of a human writer. Not that special, right? Well, actually, around August last year, a college student leveraged GPT-3 to write fake blog posts, one of which actually landed on the first position on Hacker News, an online technology publication. GPT-3 proved that AI has already started to make serious strides in alleviating the workload of humans. This example is even more poignant given that it produces results that are normally only associated with human creativity. And it also does it in a manner that is hard to distinguish from its human counterpart. And now that we have these two examples laid out, let's see what response we can have to these challenges. Let's hypothetically say a company would have access to both. If that company were Netcentric, well, I'd say it's a dream come true for most marketers, myself included. And while I say that sincerely, I know as a content manager that most of what I do here would become obsolete the moment those tools become available. That's not the case, however, from multiple standpoints. First, there would be the cost of such solutions, which at the moment are quite expensive, and not every company could afford them. Then there is the work necessary to tailor these solutions to the customer needs, which takes far more time and research than, let's say, a human workforce would take to start and finish the project. That being said, I am completely sure a time will come when tools such as Sensei and GPT-3 will make our work reduced or greatly simplified, but not obsolete. You might ask yourself at this point, why not? The short answer is that we plan to use adaptability and our knowledge of our tools to shift our position from one of pure execution to one more akin to consultancy. To expand on this answer, we first need to look at the tools we are trained to use and those we've learned along the way. Contrary to what we've led you to believe, we use multiple solutions on a daily basis. While AEM is our bread and butter, we have a host of tools at our disposal. You can actually see most of them on the screen right now. It's quite a diverse set, isn't it? The point I'm getting at by showing you this is that our position in a team is mostly supporting our colleagues, as well as getting our specific job done. This entails integrating within their existing workflows and offering our opinion or guidance regarding content management. Everything is centered around bringing about the customer's vision. This in turn helps us keep the AIs at bay. At the same time, the knowledge we gain when taking part in such diverse projects can help us offer more than just simple menial work. It allows us to leverage our experience and come up with novel ways of doing our job or looking at content implementation as a whole. There is, however, another tool that I would be remiss not to mention. It's actually one of the most important tools in our arsenal, and it is second only to AEM. And I will let Daniela present these other tools.
Thank you, Victor. So, as you have seen in the previous presented slides, having the privilege to work with such innovative, highly advanced, and user-friendly tools can be great, of course. But what makes a complete success story is integrating and using our soft skills knowledge as well. Of course, there's a variety of them at our disposal, but here are some of the most popular ones. Active listening, for example. This amazing technique is meant to keep us focused and engaged in our daily conversations. Pause our thoughts for a while and just be present in that moment. It cultivates our patience. It gives us time to reflect upon what is said without being judgmental, helping us resist the urgency of immediate reply at the same time. These attributes make the messenger feel appreciated, important, and it usually has a mirroring effect on people, which is really nice. Effective communication and feedback. Needless to say how much the Netcentric culture supports this one by including it in our core values and offering us a series of tools at our disposal to put them in practice. So go share your positive and constructive feedback in a timely manner, always with empathy and respect, and appraise your peers each time you feel the need to. Stress management is another highly useful tool, and adaptability being another. If we should name at least one good thing that this global pandemic has taught us this past year, it would be certainly the ability of humankind to adapt to any given situation or change of greater or smaller impact. And since it's something we can apply in each compartment of our daily lives, why not apply it in our work environment as well? Time management, another great one. Leadership skills are independent of any specific leading role in a team. We can lead by example and inspire people we work with by getting the things done, delivering a qualitative work, committing and taking responsibility of our daily activities, constantly proving that we are able to reliable team players ready to take new challenges and offer us our support each time is needed. Teamwork, on the other hand, speaks by itself. And then comes conflict resolution, right? This might surprise you, but it's an easy one because if we cultivate the soft skills I just mentioned, we will definitely reduce the appearance of potential future conflicts. And when they come, we will have the ability to early recognize them, and the effort of managing them will be thus minimized. All of these are part of emotional intelligence, which all of us have. We just need to use it more often and constantly cultivate it. And now that we've gone over all these parts and pieces of our content mindset, we hope you've enjoyed this ride of ours. Thank you so much for showing us some love and support today.
And we would really appreciate your feedback, considering this is our first summit talk. Let us know if we should do this again or we should just take to content management. And I think we do have time for some questions at this point.
Yep.
Let's see what comes in.
Hit us with something.
Okay.
Or if not, we'll be always available for you offline.
Yes, of course.
For further discussions on this topic. So we've got one from Andrea. Do you see any way in which AI and GPT-3 could replace the content manager's function during the dry run and or the process adjustment you mentioned? Do you think you can answer this one, Victor, since you covered it?
Yes. Well, given that normally when we get to a customer, when we start working with a customer, we first need, as we said in the presentation, we first need to understand what specific needs they have. So if we were to take that out of the equation and let's say every customer would have the same requirements, or we could narrow it down to the same requirements, yes, we could use a tool like Sensei or maybe GPT-3 to start whittling down that process. Now, given the circumstance as it is now, I don't think so, because each customer, at least in the projects I and Daniela were involved, they were all different. Each customer had different requirements, different situations, especially for what we would classify as a dry run. Now, later in the process, yes, most definitely we could do without manually migrating pages, for example, or manually modifying content if the customer were to change his mind. That could be done automatically, of course. But yeah, it's a bit of a tricky question, but for the moment, my answer would be no. I hope that sums it up. Do we have any other questions?
Well, I think we can close it up, Victor, because there are no questions. And as I previously said, you can also always Slack us and we will be happy to have a chat with you guys. Thank you so much for your support.
Thank you very much. And we are available anytime. Of course, if we do not reply, probably we are maybe in content.
Hours, yeah.
Otherwise, See you, everyone. Thank you for being here, and yeah, have a great summit ahead. What's left of it.
Summit ahead, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye.